Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. I am so excited to be with you today. This is our last live event of the year. And we are so in spirit as a team. We are so excited to bring you this information, to bring you this transformational experience, which, as I was feeling into what is it that I wanted to teach this month. And also, I am in massive gratitude that my voice is back. For those of you who were with us in November, my incredible team, Kat and Laura, jumped in because I lost my voice on day two. But I am so excited to be here and have a strong voice and be able to pour into you all directly for the next 2 days. But I was thinking about, what did I feel called to teach? What did I want to share? And I knew that I wanted to do something a little bit different this month for the community and really introduce this concept of superhuman selling, which is something that we have been talking about definitely on social media and in our programs and community for a while now, but wanted to do it a little bit differently. And so one of the really fun things that we're going to be doing today and tomorrow is I am going to be bringing up two of my lead coaches, Brandon and Laura, to speak about their perspective on superhuman selling, which is really, really fun. So you'll hear me interviewing them. And we also are going to talk a lot about what it takes to turn your annual income into your monthly income, because that is 100% possible for you when you learn how to do what we're going to be talking about these next few days. Deirdre is saying yes. Yeah, share in the chat. So I want to hear from all of you who are here live. And by the way, if you're on YouTube, hello. But for those of you who I get to see here on the Zoom, what would it mean for you to turn your annual income into your monthly income? Why are you here? What's resonating with you about this concept? I want to see in the chat what it is that's speaking to you about this. And I was a woman who did not think it would be possible for me. I really didn't. I had so many limiting beliefs about it. And as someone who has now done it, I can say it is 100% your level of consciousness. It's your willingness to receive. It's your willingness to play big. It's your willingness to give your gifts fully on the planet. It's not about grind. It's not about more of the same. It's not about hustle. It's not about any of that. And so we're going to dive deeper today and tomorrow into what that looks like for you as you go into 2025, right? Who here would love to make 2025 the year where you turn your annual income into your monthly income? You're like, heck yeah, let's go. Let's do this. It's a decision. What I have to say, it is a decision. And what's also fun, I was getting emotional while we were playing the song at the beginning. It was 4 years ago this month that I made the decision to stop playing small in my life. And so much has happened and transformed and shifted since then. But I remember being at that place, and I'll share a little bit more of my story today. But I remember being at a place where I was at a crossroads and I could either keep doing more of the same, or I could decide to get radically out of my comfort zone to answer the call that I'd been feeling on my soul for quite some time to play a bigger game. And it required very uncomfortable action. It required, being willing to face all the limiting beliefs that I'd held about myself for so long. But to be here today with all of you, close to 4 years from the day that I made that choice and that I made that decision, what I now know is what has manifested in my life over the past 4 years has been nothing short of, I would say, miraculous. Like if the version of me 4 years ago looked at it today and was like, knew that these things would be happening, she would have thought, no, that's for someone else. That's not for me. But it is 100% for you. And it is simply a decision. It is simply a decision. And it's a realization that there's never going to be a perfect time. There's never going to be someone who comes and gives you permission and tells you it's time to play a bigger game. It's time to say yes to having way more financial flow. It's time to say yes to having way more money flowing through, way more impact flowing through. It's all you. It's all you and you in this present moment making that decision. Let me just see some of what you all are sharing in the chat about what would happen for you with your annual income becoming your monthly income. Shanna's saying more service and contribution. Yes, yes, yes. And when you remember, we're going to talk a little bit. We'll probably talk today. I don't know, we'll see, but we'll probably talk about the law of compensation. And it really is about part of it is knowing what your gifts are and being available to be of service on the planet in a greater way with those and remembering that as you do that, it's kind of, I'm a very spiritual person. I'm not a religious person, but I'm a very spiritual person. And there's the Bible verse where it talks about all these things will be added unto you. So to me, the way that I read that is that when I am focused on my gifts, when I am focused on how I can serve, when I am focused on how I can contribute, and every single life that I get to pour into with this work, everything I desire from a human perspective happens and comes in, but it's not from an energy of striving. It's not from an energy of grasping or chasing. It's from an energy of service and contribution. So I love, Shanna, that you shared that. Deirdre, that would be so life-changing, beautiful. So now I want you to think about how, right? And tonight, I'm going to give you a homework assignment to help you really connect with that and what that looks like. But we want to be really connected to like, what does that dollar amount mean for you, right? Money flows where there's a purpose. And a strong purpose for money is not making you feel safe and secure. It's about helping you live your most expansive life, whatever that looks like. So what would it look like? What does life look like for you very specifically when your annual income is your monthly income, right? Laura, I would travel more to visit friends and family. Beautiful. How, right? So again, we're going to get specific on what would that look like? Where are you traveling? How are you traveling? Cindy, my daughter would get the best care she deserves. Now, if that's not a motivator, I don't know what is, right? I know how much you love your daughter and how much you'll do anything for her. So beautiful. Erica, I homeschool my kids. So it'd be amazing to be able to travel and show them the world as a part of their education. Oh my gosh. I love that. One of our 10K club members and community members brought a book to me last week that I've been reading, and I shared it with some of the community this week, called Love Money, Money Loves You. And she talks about in there, anything that you would love is meant for you. Anything that, whether it's a coat, whether it's a home, whether it's an experience in your business, anything that you can think of when you think about it, you're like, I would love that. It literally means it is meant for you, right? So that desire, Erica, to be able to take your kids and have beautiful experiences with them while you homeschool, it is meant for you. And the way that you're going to connect to it is through the energy of love, which is so powerful. So yes, absolutely. Shannon, thank you for not playing small, Elyse Archer. So thank you for saying that. This is what I really had to get. And I'll speak more for those of you who are new, or this is your first event, or you're not in our programs or community yet, I'll speak a little bit more to one of the things that shifted for me. But there was a time in my life when it felt so much safer to not be seen, and so much safer to not put myself out there. But then I thought about the people that I followed, the leaders that I followed, whether on social media, whether authors who inspired the heck out of me, that I turned to help me feel more empowered, or who modeled what was possible. And I thought about if they had decided to stay in their smallness, right? Like, think about whoever inspires you right now. Maybe it's someone you know and you follow. Maybe it's someone you don't. Like, even, a lot of people are inspired by Oprah, right? Like, if Oprah had decided to, Brandon's inspired by Oprah. I love it. If she had decided that being a talk show host wasn't for her, and that it was safer to, remain a TV anchor. I don't know her exact story perfectly, but like if she had not been willing to get out of her comfort zone and to be visible, how many lives would not have been changed because of that? And what I know right now for each of you, whether you're in corporate sales, whether you're working for yourself, there are so many lives that are wanting to be inspired by you. They are looking for transformation. They are looking for growth. They are looking for change. And it is meant to come through you, but it only comes through you when you are willing to step up and be visible. We had one of our community members yesterday, or over the weekend, she shared with me, she's someone I'm doing some private coaching with, and that she had used this material to actually help her grandmother move out of depression, like what she was learning in her program with us. And she's here to massively elevate her money and do it through more feminine energy, and she's doing those things. But it was so beautiful, just a reminder of the ripple effect of when you say yes to yourself and you invest in yourself and you show up and you're willing to say yes to way more financial flow, to way more impact, to the growth of your business, to the growth of your sales. The people you will impact and the lives that you will impact, you don't even know. You don't even know how many there are right now. And if the version of me 4 years ago who was making the decision to stop playing small and was still, stuck in limiting beliefs and had no idea what was going to happen. But if she would know, I had knowing and a sense that all of you were out there. I had a knowing and a sense that there was more, but to now be able to be in a place of contribution and service where also my financial reality has transformed, my family's reality has transformed. It is a beautiful moment, like a full circle moment today to be here with all of you. Kim is saying words can't describe it. I'd be able to better focus on serving others, happier and healthier. Beautiful, as would my family with what I'd be able to do and change. Christy, living the life of my dreams. Oh my gosh, this is so good. Bought the audiobook. Good, good, good. Oh, Deirdre, corporate girl wanting to turn CEO. Beautiful. So the way that I would approach that now is like, I am a CEO. Like when we're in want, we're still in lack, right? We're still separate from it. So I am a CEO. I'm just right now transitioning out of corporate. All right. So we're going to shift the energy there a little bit. Beautiful. So, okay. This is so exciting. By the way, if you can turn your camera on, we want to see your beautiful faces. We want to connect with you. And a couple of housekeeping items, what to expect the next few days. And then we're going to dive into some teaching and again, some really powerful interviews today as well. So again, this whole event is about turning your annual income into your monthly income. And when I was feeling into it and feeling into why this mattered, I specifically, and I know we have a mixed audience here, which is so beautiful. And I love that. I really thought about myself as a woman, right? For so long thinking that the way to be successful and the way to accomplish my goals was that I had to fit into someone else's box. I don't know how many of you can relate to that or have thought that. And I didn't see a lot modeled in terms of successful female entrepreneurs, CEOs, sales leaders who were simultaneously having a lot of time with their kids, right? Creating a beautiful home life, whatever that looks like for them, and who were spiritually connected, tapped in. And so that was what really, inspired my search for mentorship and for a different approach to business many years ago. And what I have now learned and seen as a woman who now runs a company that is on track for multiple seven figures and has plenty of time with my kids, my little ones. We've got two kids and a third on the way, and who has attracted the most magnificent team that I am beyond grateful for, and who has a beautiful lifestyle, is that there is another way to do it. there is another way to achieve everything you've ever wanted and more in business that is not going to deplete you energetically, that's not going to detract from your home life, that in fact will amplify everything that you are doing, where you can be present for the people around you. You can be present for your kids. You can have time freedom. You can build the life that you want and have way more financial flow than you ever wanted and than you ever thought was possible. And so I was thinking about the community and thinking about just, I think, the need in the world for us to model another way of doing business, another way that shows potential. And superhuman selling, we'll talk a little bit more about what it is these next few days. But superhuman selling, to me, we live at the intersection of spirituality, science, and sales. So I don't know how many of you out there are, fans of like Dr. Joe Dispenza or Bruce Lipton or Greg Braden. There's a lot of great leaders in the world right now who are talking about science and spirituality and how the two of them are really combined, and in many ways, this, two sides of the same stick. And we play with that, but we do it in the sales and business world. And I think this is an awakening that's needed on this planet right now to help you, whether you're woman, man, whatever your gender is, understand that there is a very different way for you to grow your income, grow your impact, live out your greatest gifts on the planet, have more money than you ever thought possible, be in service, and collapse space and time in terms of how long it takes for you to do that. Right. And so we play with spirituality. We don't play with it. We study it seriously. But we use that as a tool. We study quantum physics and all of those fun elements about collapsing space and time. And then we also layer in extremely powerful sales and business coaching and mentoring in that as well. So you're going to get tastes of all of that over the next few days. If my team would raise your virtual hand so that you move to the front of everyone's screen, I just want to acknowledge my team. Each of you who is here and part of this event, you have a success advisor on our team. And so if you have not yet connected with them, or you don't know who your person is, reach out to us. You can ask in the chat, or you can email Kayla on my team, assist@elysearcher.com, to find out who your success advisor is. But they are here to support you. They are here to help you. I want to really encourage you. The transformation comes from these events, not from sitting on the sidelines and just observing, but from being in the game, right? These people are here to help you. They are here to support you. Book a call with them, book time with them to talk about your personal vision and goals for 2025, and they'll help you customize a plan for how to get there. So I just want to acknowledge my team, because they are the glue of all of this. Could not do this without them. And each and every one of them lives, breathes, eats this work, has done the transformation themselves, continues to do it every single day. We did a really, really powerful visualization on our team call yesterday, just connecting with for each of you, like your quantum leap in 2025 and how we wanted to serve you and pour into you. And also for the team connecting with their own vision for 2025. And so I can tell you, the team does this, lives this, breathes this, is this, and they are there to help support you as well. So you should have gotten a reach out from whoever your success advisor is, a text, an email intro. If you have not connected with them, book a call with them, book time to talk to them this week. Again, they are here to help support you. They are here to help just customize that plan for you as well. So the next 2 days, so we are going to be in the energy of the quantum leap. I'm going to share with you, as a woman who was stuck at the same level for over 10 years and then was able to ascend very quickly through this work. And who has, even just in this year, as I look back at 2024, We have also had so many quantum leap moments that I have learned from and that I want to share with you the how of how it happened. We had our best financial and sales month in October, and I'll share with you a little bit more about what we learned from that, what I learned from that too, because again, it wasn't grind, it wasn't hustle, but it was what we're talking about at this event. So I'm going to share with you about what it would take to turn your annual income into your monthly income as we go into 2025. Tomorrow, I am also going to share with you, for those of you who want to go deeper in this work, you want to come get in this energy, you want to come be in our programs and our community. I'm going to share more about what that looks like, the opportunities to go deeper. We have something that we have, something brand new that we've put together this month. This is like the best by far bonuses we have ever done for in the period of 4 years that I've been doing. I don't know. There's stars aligning. There's amazing things happening. So we have a beautiful new offer that we put together for everyone who wants to go deeper. And we're going to share about that tomorrow as well. And like I said, the real transformation comes not just from sitting on the sidelines, but from saying, I am worthy of having support. I am worthy of investing in. And what I will say is that there is a version of you who turns your annual income into your monthly income, but they think, feel, and act differently than the version of you who has not yet done it. And so the key with this transformation is about embodiment. And it's about to start to say, what would the version of me do who is at the end result that I want? And to start to show up as them, to start to speak as them. That's why, Deirdre, when you were like, I want to be a CEO, like, no, I am a CEO. It's done. It's happened, right? We want to go ahead and start speaking as that person, feeling as that person, and also embodying them through action. So we'll share more about that tomorrow. And then when you're connecting with your success advisor, they can also help you understand and know, all right, what's the best program for me? What's the best way for me to go deeper into this work? So again, that's a beautiful time for you to have one-on-one support from them as well. So with that, who here is it your first event, or you're not familiar with my story or some of the background on what we do? I see some beautiful new faces on here as well. So, and I know that, let's see here, share it anyways. Well, what I have found is I find so much, I see myself mirrored in other people's stories. And so as I share this, I want you to just notice, where in my own life have I either been in this place, or where am I maybe now, right? Where I know that I'm ready for more. I feel that calling for more on my soul. And yet maybe I'm not believing in myself. Maybe I'm doubting myself. Maybe I'm thinking I want too much, etc. And so I was someone who, for much of my life, did many of what I thought were the right things to be successful, right? So go to school, get the college degree. I got a degree in journalism, got out and notice I didn't say graduate. I got out in 3.5 years. I did graduate, but my energy was always like, I want to get out and go work and do my own thing. And went into media sales, checked a lot of the boxes, rose up the corporate ladder, made 6 figures, bought the house, bought the car, got married, did all the things that I thought I was supposed to do to be successful. And yet I found myself in my late 20s having checked all of the boxes and yet feeling very, very empty inside. I don't know how many of you can relate to that. Very, very empty inside, and looking around at a life that I had created where I was like, none of this actually feels like me. Like something feels really off. Was having anxiety, was having panic attacks, was struggling with an eating disorder and wasn't telling anyone about it. And so right before I turned 28, I made the decision that I wanted to change. And I didn't know what that looked like, but I knew that I had to disentangle a lot of the structures I had built up in my life up until that point. Left the marriage, which I was petrified of what people would think, but I left the marriage. Left my corporate job, had one client who had paid me $300 to review a presentation for him. I knew I wanted to become a coach and go into sales coaching. I said, that's it. It's proof of concept. I can make money outside of corporate. let's go. So left the corporate job, started a coaching business, changed a lot in my friends circle. I started working under great mentors and coaches at that time, started studying personal development, started realizing how much more control I had in my life than I thought I did, and really started to shift a lot. And so fast forward 7 years from that, I was in a place, this is when I was 35, I was in a place where life was really good, right? Like things had changed, was remarried, had our first son. He was a couple of months old, and had built a pretty successful coaching business up until that point. Um, but what I noticed at that point in my life was that I always felt like I was stuck and struggling with money. I don't know how many of you can relate to that, where no matter how hard I worked, no matter how many hours I worked, no matter how much I vision boarded and manifested and did the things, I would always make low six figures. What I was not aware of at the time was that I was programmed to make low six figures. That was my identity. That was my self-concept. That was my belief system. And because we will always manifest and create in our lives whatever our belief system and our self-concept is, that's what I kept getting over and over and over again. And so I felt frustrated because I wanted more for my life. I wanted to be able to do things like retire my husband from his night shift respiratory therapy job so that he could pursue his dream of going back to medical school and becoming a doctor. He'd been an RT for over 10 years and he was working night shift in COVID. And there was just still, there's a lot that was going on there. I wanted to play a much bigger game. I was kind of sitting on the sidelines. I was helping a lot of incredible entrepreneurs, sales leaders build their brands, build their businesses. But I wanted to do what they were doing. And yet there was a part of me who was thinking that they were special somehow, and I was not, that they could do it, but I couldn't. I don't know how many of you can relate to that too. Yep, Jill, thank you for the honesty. 100%. We wrote about it in the book we published this year, Permission to Be Powerful. So for any of you who have not bought and ordered the book, Permission to Be Powerful, order the book. Oh, look at that. I love it. Kim, you got yours. Beautiful. Because we talk about it more in there, but I would look at other people who would do things like, run 7-figure plus businesses or speak on the big stages, or, give, who would travel first class everywhere. And I was stuck in this like low 6-figure lifestyle where a lot of those things just weren't happening and weren't possible. And I was in anxiety about money. I was in fear about money. I was constantly judging myself for my desires, for wanting more. I was judging myself for how I spent money, all of it. And so, long story short, there were a couple of things that happened all around the time of my 35th birthday. One of which was someone who was a dear friend who I co-hosted a podcast with passed away in his sleep at age 39 and left behind a wife and 5 kids. And he was like a healthy dude. No one saw it coming. But that was a very sobering moment for me because I thought if I only had 4 years left, would I feel like I had played full out in this lifetime? Would I feel like I had given it my all? And my answer was absolutely not. Absolutely not. Simultaneously, I was reading a book by Bronnie Ware called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. And she shares in that book that the number one regret of people on their deathbed was, I wish I had had the courage to live a life true to me rather than what everyone else expected of me. And I looked at my life and I realized how much I was still playing small, even though I had made a lot of changes that felt big and scary earlier in my life. Around age 28, I was still playing so small. And I had a much bigger vision for my life, but I was saying that's for other people. I'll do that when I don't have a 4-month-old at home. They have more experience, they have more knowledge, they have more this, they have more that, they have more talent. And it was kind of just this wake up moment of realizing I am the only one who can give myself permission to go for what I want and to have what I want. And I've been waiting for, I don't know who, but someone outside of me to come tell me I was good enough, to come tell me it's time, to come tell me it's possible. And what I kind of woke up to in that moment was that no one was coming to tell me those things. So you are the one you've been waiting for. I want to really like anchor that in. You are the one you have been waiting for. You will turn your annual income into your monthly income when you give yourself permission to do so. When you give yourself permission to do so, you will ascend, you will launch the business, you will make the money, you will travel the world first class, you will do the things when you decide, no one else outside of you. When you decide, yes, Shanna, that's it. And it is a beautiful moment when we realize this. There's a law called the law of cause and effect, that every effect in our lives has a cause. And so one of the things that I think we do so powerfully in our programs, and we're certifying our first group of consultants right now. And some of you are on here, and it's been the most beautiful manifestation of something that I've wanted to do for a long time. But we were talking about this on a recent call where part of why I think we are able to create so much transformation in our clients' lives is that it's about awareness that whatever it is in your life that you are currently displeased about, whether it's your financial situation, how your business is going, the opportunities flowing through, those are all effects. You are the cause. This is not about judgment. This is not about shame. This is not about any of that. It's about ownership. And it's about saying, oh, if money isn't flowing, if I've said for a long time that I want to have 10K months, 50K months, 100K months, $1 million months, but I haven't been experiencing it, what in my belief system is not open to it? Where am I making other people special, but not me? Where am I not open to receive that, right? So, for whatever effect you want to have in your business and in your life, you get to be the cause of it. So, one of the early exercises that we do with our clients is actually about helping you determine who would I need to have the result that I want to have, and get very, very clear on what are the thoughts, what are the feelings, and what are the actions. Because in life, you don't get what you want, you get what you are. So there is a version of you, there is a different version of you who has an experience of your annual income being your monthly income. And what's fun is you can do this again and again. So you can you can make your annual income your monthly income now based on whatever your numbers have been. And then guess what? You can do it again. That's what I'm doing right now. And it's fun because it's a different version of you. It's a different level every single time. Right. But so really taking ownership of, in what ways have I been creating these results? Because I have been. And if I want to create something different, I can. Right. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. So, so anyway, I kind of woke up to that. And I realized that. And I was like, well, shoot, nothing's going to change until I change and I start making different decisions. So I made the decision to do whatever it took to get out of my comfort zone and to be the woman that I'd always wanted to be, which I knew was a multimillionaire, successful coach, changing the world with her work, traveling first class, taking her kids, like Erica, your goal of taking your kids around the world. We do that now. And I love that. And that was one of my goals. Like I wanted to be able to do that. And so I was like, I need to think, I need to change my thinking, right? I need to change how I'm viewing myself and viewing my life. And so again, long story short, made the decision to get out of my comfort zone, invested what felt like a ton of money for me at the time, which was $50,000 in coaching and mentoring, to get in the energy of other leaders who were doing what I wanted to do, to learn how they thought. Started facing all of my limiting beliefs about money, about what's possible for me, about my potential. And in 6 weeks was able to turn my annual income into my monthly income after being stuck at the same level for over 10 years. And what has happened and shifted since then has been so, so powerful. And I used to not share as much of my personal story, and what I've really become conscious to, even over the past week, I think more than before, is I don't need to, I get to be more visible with sharing some of what has happened and transpired in my life, because I know that what inspires and motivates me is seeing others who are farther along on the journey than me, seeing how they live, seeing what they've done, hearing, of course, the challenges and how they overcome those, because I think that that's powerful, because that's part of the process. We all get to go through that. But then also owning their successes, owning their greatness, so that I can have that mirrored back to me. So when I look at, since that transformation, that first quantum leap 4 years ago, and what has happened in my life since then, we have built an extremely influential, successful business while I've been having three babies. So for anyone out there who's like, I can't do it because of my kids, I can't do it because of this or because of that, yes, you can. Yes, you can. You got to make your own rules about time. You've got to make your own rules about how money works for you. My team knows I have really good boundaries with my time. And it's like at 3 o'clock at the end of the day, I'm out. I'm gone. I'm with the cats I piece, with the kiddos. Right. And so that to me is really, really important, like beautiful family time. I take a lot of time off with my kids this week. We've got this event today and tomorrow. We've got our consultants flying in tomorrow night from around the world to do a 2-day, really intensive, beautiful training with them. And then the next day, I'm leaving to take my family on a luxury cruise, a luxury Disney cruise, which has been a vision and a goal of mine for quite some time. Kelsey, yes. And to me, it's, I want to inspire as many of you who are ready for that level of ascension in your life to show what is possible, because I think that we all get to be mirrors for each other, right? And as you rise up in your greatness, as you claim your greatness, as you say yes to the bigger vision of what's possible in your life, you will inspire those around you. And even just looking at, I was doing a reflection exercise for this year, and it's so easy for those of us who are ambitious, goal oriented, which I know all of you are, because you know where you want to be next. And it's easy to get caught up in the gap of where, it's like these things haven't yet happened in the 3D, and that's totally okay. Right. And so we get to learn to really enjoy the process. But I was taking a moment to really just acknowledge some of the other beautiful things that had happened even this year. We wrote a book. We launched a consultant certification program, and we're certifying 8 of the most beautiful souls from around the world in this material. We massively expanded our team. We ran 5 in-person events. We launched a fragrance. It's like, of all, of all things, I almost forgot that in the midst of everything that we were doing. And I was writing down this list of just beautiful things that had happened. I was like, man, yeah, we launched a fragrance. I've been able to do beautiful things like buy my sister everything on her baby registry, right? That was something that a version of me years ago would have wanted to do, but would have been so afraid to, or would have felt unworthy of doing. And to be able to just do that and take care of it and send that text and just be like, it's just send me the list, it's all taken care of. I know each of you has people in your lives you want to give to, people in your lives you want to contribute to, people, whether it's your family, your friends, your loved ones. And I am here to tell you that the more you allow into your life, the more you allow yourself to receive, the more you ascend your consciousness, which is really what what that quantum leap is about. Money is just an energy that allows you to express yourself more fully on the planet. That's it. It is simply an energy that allows you to express yourself more fully. And so the more of it you're willing to allow in, and there is an energy to that, the more of it you are willing to experience, the more you can express yourself, the more you can serve, the more you can give. And so it's been a beautiful year of growth and of reflecting on, and I know we're hitting the tip of the iceberg. I really do. Laura and I were talking about this earlier this week of just the ascension that's happening, and it's like we know there's so much more. coming. Watch what we do this next year because it's going to be incredibly powerful. Um, and it has all come from a willingness to say yes. Inhale the fragrance of abundance. That's it. I think we actually infused it with some sort of abundance scent, didn't we? I've got multiple. Oh, there you go. Okay, so Laura's holding up her fragrance. I love it. Side note on this, complete side note that's not really that relevant, but I was testing the fragrances while I was in my first trimester of pregnancy this year. And it's like, you don't want to smell anything during that time. But the one that we picked, I was like, oh, I actually like this. That's how I knew it was good because it was the one that I could smell and it was good and I was still okay. So anyway, there's always a good dose of comedy that goes along with this. So I'm going to interview in a couple of minutes Brandon and Laura, who lead up some of the coaching within our company. But what I want to share about the energy of what it takes to turn your annual income into your monthly income and just what I've seen and experienced in my own life is the first thing is there has to be a willingness to get out of your comfort zone, like dramatically out of your comfort zone, and to see a much bigger vision for yourself, right? To believe that it is possible for you. So I know a lot of you who are in the community, like I know your visions, I know what you want to do. Those of you who aren't in the community yet, we don't know, but that's why I encourage you to connect with your success advisor to share your vision of what it is that you want to create. But what I know is that if you can see it, you can do it. And that vision that keeps speaking to you or talking to you. And if you're not clear on what it is, you just stop believing. You stop asking yourself what you wanted some time ago. It's always there. It's always speaking to you. That is for you, that is literally for you. So we want to remember we're always creating twice, right? First in our mind or the 5D or the spiritual plane, and then in our physical world. The physical is just an out picturing of what it is that you've been thinking about and where your consciousness has been. All right. I want you to really get that. Everything in your physical world is just an out picturing of where your consciousness has been. And so the thing that you want for your life, I reviewed for those of you who filled out intakes for this, I reviewed them. And so I read things like purchasing a new home, buying things for your parents, traveling the world, and creating a business that's far more successful than where it is right now. You wouldn't see it if you couldn't do it. All right. But it is going to take being willing to become a different version of yourself. And it's not about who you are right now is not good enough. That's not it at all. It's about the version of you who feels stuck or limited in any ways, has bought into some lies about yourself, has bought into some small and limiting thoughts that you aren't worthy of more, that it's not possible to have more, that it's going to be hard to make the money. So to me, it's really about taking off the masks of the lies that you bought into and that you believed were true about you, and stepping into that fullness of your greatness and that fullness of your potential. And so, like I said, it does require you getting out of your comfort zone because it's going to require you showing up as a different person. It's going to require you acting as a different person. Kat, who's here, she's one of our lead success advisors. When she enrolled in this community and in the 10K club earlier this year, she got so out of her comfort zone in doing that. Nurse, zero sales background, starting a new sales position in a company and hadn't even made any sales yet, didn't even have a guaranteed job. And I saw her decide to act as the version of herself who was at the level of success she desired. And she is someone who has turned her annual income into her monthly income in a short amount of time with this material and continues to ascend. And there's so many of you too, who I see on this call, who I know in the process of investing in yourself, and getting out of your comfort zone, you quantum leaped. That's where the transformation is. But what I'll say is that, the increased money is beautiful. The increased opportunities are beautiful. The biggest thing, though, that for me has been most transformational is becoming a woman who used to have so much self-doubt, who used to have so much self-judgment, who used to not believe in herself, who used to give her power away, who used to look at everyone else to tell me if what I had done was good, if I was successful or not, to being a woman who now loves herself deeply, who is on her side, who feels, of course, I have human emotions and experiences, but the vast majority of the time lives with an open heart, lives in a space and an energy of what I now call, it feels like magic, right? Where it's synchronicities, where things are flowing, where opportunities flow, where money flows, and where I feel love every day with an open heart. That is the actual gift. That is the actual, and everything else will happen. All the money comes in, the opportunities come in, but that is the actual gift. The other thing, so a couple other things I would say about what it takes. It also really takes normalizing the new amount of money, normalizing whatever it is. So for you to turn your annual income into your monthly income, I want you to think about what that number would be right now. And if it feels big to you, you're not a match for it yet. And that's okay. That's how you know that you're on your way to bringing in the amount of money and financial success that you want, because it actually feels normal to you. And we play with that. We actually teach you in our programs how to align with the financial frequency that you want to connect with, whatever that amount is. And I think one of the best ways to do that is to be in the energy of others who are playing at the level you want to play at or bigger. Right. So there was a time in my life when I couldn't imagine receiving $100,000 in a month. I couldn't. How many of you right now can't imagine it? And it's okay if you can't. It's like good to just be aware of that. And you can do this incrementally too. So I'm just going to throw out some numbers that for me were like the numbers I wanted. But you can do this incrementally. So there is nothing wrong with stair stepping it. And there's nothing wrong with saying, okay, I want to go from 5K months to 10K months, or I want to go from 10K months to 25K months. And in fact, you will ascend faster if you're working towards a number that feels stretchy, but still believable for you. All right. But one of the things that really helped me was investing in myself and paying to be in the energy of others who helped me see that 100K months were no big deal, who helped me feel like, oh my gosh, I couldn't even live off of that. Like, what are you talking about? Right? It's all relative. It's all perspective. And so that's what I think is so powerful about this community too. Sometimes I forget that people don't talk openly about money in every circle. Who was I talking to? Maybe it was yesterday on our consultant call where one of our consultants was talking about a training she was leading where she started talking about money and she could just see people cringing in the room. I think that was it. I talk about money all day, every day. I love it. I think it's so fun. And there's obviously there's in our culture, shame and guilt and conditioning that you shouldn't want it, that you don't talk about it, et cetera. One of the things that I love about our community and our programs is that it is a group of heart-centered, spirit-led people who are unapologetically going for more in their lives, understanding that money is a frequency. Money is just an energy that allows them to live out more of who they are. That's it. And one of the things that we speak about in our programs and in the community too, money itself is not the vision. Money is the how of your vision. So what we want to do is get you connected with in 2025, what is that fullest expression of you, right? Who is that person? Who is that version of you? How are you living? How are you giving? How are you traveling? How are you showing up in your life? How are you contributing? Right? What is your lifestyle like? What kind of car are you driving? And then there's a certain amount of financial energy that's required for that to come in. And so it's all about tapping into that frequency. But we talk unapologetically all day long in our programs about that, right? But the thing that I know is that you not having the resources to live out your most expansive life does no good for you, and it does no good for anyone else on the planet, anyone else you're meant to impact or serve. By very nature of you being here, you being on this call, you being in this community, in this energy, I know without even not even knowing you yet, you are a heart-led person. You are here for something big. You are here for greatness. You are here to impact and change the world. And that's going to look different for all of you, right? For some of you, impacting and changing the world is shifting your family legacy from one of scarcity mindset or abuse for some of you, and pouring into your kids, your nieces, your nephews, changing the game in terms of mindset and belief. And that there is a strong ripple effect with that. Others of you are meant to speak on world stages, right? And lead some of the top brands in the world, being top world thought leaders. It's one is not better than the other. This is about you connecting with why you came here. What did you come to do? What are your unique spiritual gifts? What are your unique contributions to the planet? And then being available simply to receive whatever resources are needed to do that, right? But we play so small. We get stuck in loops of how am I going to pay for this, or how am I going to pay for that, or how am I going to do this or do that? You're not living your spiritual purpose when you're doing that. Right? In the years where I was just consumed with how am I going to pay these bills, do you think I was really showing up and serving and giving and changing lives? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So you not allowing in the resources to have what it is that you desire does not serve anyone, right? It does not serve anyone. And one of the best things that you can do is get in the energy of others who are done with that cycle, who are done with that loop. And money always comes for what's a must for us. This is what's so beautiful. Whatever it is that's that fullest expression of you as we go into 2025, whether it's you're living in a bigger home, you're traveling the world differently, you're doing different things with your kids. You don't need any of the money for that now. All you need to do is to decide that it's yours, right? Decide that you want it, decide that it's happening. And there's science, there's neuroscience behind this, that when you make the decision that you are going to have something, the subconscious mind goes to work giving you the path for the how. But how often do we say, I can't have that, I can't invest in that program, I can't do that thing because what? I don't have the money. The worst words you could ever say to yourself, because anything you say, the universe says yes, right? So rather than saying that, whatever it is that shows up for you tonight as you're going through the homework and connecting with that highest and best version of you, and what that looks like, you don't need to know where the resources are coming from yet. You don't need to know the how of any of it yet. You just have to claim it. You just have to say yes. And then from there, it's more of an energy of, well, I'm really excited for this, and I'm available to see where the resources could come from, right? I'm available to see how this could happen. That's it. That's it. The law of sufficiency and abundance states that you always have enough for the next step, for whatever it is that you want. Whether it's you have the down payment on something, maybe you don't have the full amount, but you've got enough for a deposit or a down payment, or you've got a connection, you've got an idea, right? So often we devalue the currency of just our ideas, our the inspiration that your brain will give to you of things to do, actions to take. And so these are all resources that you can use, but we want to be in the energy of having with everything that we're doing, right? And so again, investing to be in the energy of others who will help you make your goal feel small or help it feel normal. It's all perspective. The third thing that I would say about the energy that helps you turn your annual income into your monthly income is to stay focused on your gifts, stay focused on expansion, and stay focused on service. And I remember the first year when I did this, and we hit our first $1 million in sales, I that year, there were certainly challenges that came up, right? I was moving and growing so fast that it was almost like I got to catch up um, with some of the results that were happening outside of me. And I think it was because I had held myself back for so long that it felt like a boomerang or a springboard in a lot of ways. But I got to meet a lot of parts of myself that got to grow during that experience. But I remember the vast majority of the time and the vast majority of my experience, the whole past 4 years, has been one of love and flow and abundance and joy and expansion. And at the end of that first year, I remember I was sitting in my living room and just counting up. I really hadn't tracked very well. That didn't do a good job of that, but counting it up. And I was like, oh my gosh, we did $1 million in sales. Like it happened. But I hadn't really been that focused on it, if that makes sense. So, one of the biggest things that I would say to you, and I was just working with a client on this right before this call, is connecting with what are your zones of genius, right? What are your gifts and talents that you can bring to what you do, and then bring more of that. So, Price Pritchett in the book U Squared, where he talks about how to quantum leap, one of the chapters is called Open Your Gifts. And so if there's a part of you that you're holding back from sharing with the world, if there's a part of you that you're in shame or fear or worry about, because you're afraid of judgment of others, or maybe you've gotten so caught up in just like the doing part of your business. And Brandon is just a little bit is going to talk about masculine versus feminine energy, which is powerful because the doing is the masculine. But when we get sucked into that and we stop getting inspired, we stop tapping into our gifts, that's actually when we stay stuck financially. That's when you'll start to feel like you're spinning. So opening your gifts to me means recognizing, what do you love, right? What did you come here to do? What is it that brings you joy? Like for me in my life, I wanted to be a makeup artist. That was actually like my vision for a long time. And I could probably still do that in another life. I may be doing that in another dimension right now. But I also learned that I love sales and I love business, and so I went down a different path. But I have always valued beauty. I've always valued beautiful environments. I've always valued how I can add more beauty to everything and everyone around me. And so what I've found in my own business is the more I play with, how can we make this more beautiful? How can we elevate what we're doing? How can we add more love into everything we're doing? And even with some things that we're currently launching, like we're going to launch a magazine. I think it's going to be next year. So team, get ready because that's happening. But we're going to do a magazine where we do like before and after transformations of clients and of community, and where we feature and uplift others. I've also always loved creating a platform where I can uplift others and put others in the spotlight. And so doing events like this, launching the magazine, being a podcast host, those things have been tapping into my gifts. And I find that the more I lean into that and be in that energy of service with those, more money flows, more opportunity flows. But it's just a natural byproduct. And even seeing some of our members of the community, like Shanna and Laura, you two did the most hilarious reel a couple of weeks ago that I sat on the edge of my bed and I was showing it to Jason, and we were both crying, laughing over this. He was like on his back laughing. He thought it was the best thing on the planet. I was like, holy shit. These two are hilarious. They need to do more of these things. I know you are. So, like, being available to be visible and be of service. By the way, you two can pop the link in the chat if you want to, because it's so effing funny. But that's an example, right? And so when you stop holding back, and when when you connect with what your gifts are, like this client who I was just working with before this call, had gotten in a place of doing like a lot of just the doing, a lot of managing her business. She's running a big team. She's and she's growing, she's ascending, but things were feeling heavy and things were feeling hard. And she realized that she had stopped doing the things she loved. Like she loves writing little notes for people and just letting them know how much she appreciates them. She loves sending out gifts. She loves making other people feel great, right? And she'd stop doing that. And so when you can tap into your zones of genius and what it is that you were uniquely put here on the planet to do, and bring and infuse more of that into your business or in sales. This applies to corporate sales as well. Laura, who I'll interview in just a little bit, we have a corporate sales mastermind for women in corporate. And it's like all the stuff that they're not talking about in corporate, right? And Laura has doubled her income in corporate with this material. And I can tell you, it was not with more grind energy. It was not with more hustle energy. So this applies whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a corporate seller as well. But staying focused on your gifts, staying focused on service, and how can you infuse more of that into what you're doing? I will also say, and this is a pretty obvious one, but shifting your relationship with money, right? It is huge. I used to be someone who, no matter how much money was in the bank, I was always in scarcity energy. And what I've learned is that is conditioning, and that is not true. And so we have so many beautiful resources in the community to help you shift and realign your energy with your natural state, which is abundance. But I want you to just know, as a woman who has been on both sides of the stick of, struggling and being in a lot of scarcity and fear and worry and doubt, and also experiencing the flow of abundance that is so beautiful and so available to all of us all the time, is that it's all an inner game. It's all an inner shift. Money is just here to circulate, to bless your life. It is here to be a resource for you to live your fullest expression. It is not meant to be your master. It is not meant to be God. It wants to serve you. It wants to support you. It wants to help you. It wants you to flow it and circulate it in ways that grow and expand you. And when we stay open to that, and when we stay open to the energy of money, and we circulate with love and with gratitude and with appreciation, then we allow ourselves to open up and receive more. I shared this on our consultant call yesterday. Let me pull up this quote. Hold on. But this is from the book we were talking about earlier too. So Sarah McCrum is the author, and she says, every time you pay someone, you create a contract between you that allows you to receive. So I want you to just think about, how many times do you pay a bill or invest in something, but you're nervous about it, you're in resistance about it, you're focusing on the money that you just flowed out? I teach, and I do this myself, when you circulate money, and I wouldn't say spend money, when you circulate money, because we always want to be in circulation energy with it. See whatever amount you just flowed out coming back to you with a zero on the end, right? So just play with that. I do this every time I pay my bills, every time I go shopping. And it's really, really fun. It gets you in a different energy. But then also, when you focus on what you're receiving in exchange, whether it's a new home that you get to live in, whether it's beautiful coaching and mentoring that's going to uplift you, whether it's a trip, right? Whether it's sitting in first class, drinking a glass of champagne while you fly somewhere beautiful, right? Whatever it is, you've just created a contract for you to receive. And when you focus on what you're receiving and being in the energy to allow more in, everything shifts. So we do a lot of money healing work in our material and in our modules, because I have found that is one of the biggest things that will transform your life. Tomorrow, I may show behind the scenes a little bit in one of our programs, so you can see what that looks like. But it's really, really beautiful, and it is life-changing. So those are a lot of the things. There is more, but I want to pause, and I want to have some conversations with a few members of my team who I think are going to add a really unique perspective to this. And when I got the download for this event, I knew very clearly it was like, I'm not the only one teaching it. I'm co-hosting it with Brandon and Laura. And so I'm going to bring them both up one by one to share their takes on this. And initially, I was like, Brandon, I want you to speak to this from a man's perspective. We have recently launched a men's mastermind in our community, which I'm very excited and grateful for. And Brandon actually leads it because it is a different energy, right? And there's nuances to ascending and growing to this material from a masculine perspective. But one of the things that Brandon said he wanted to talk about was shifting even out of that masculine energy and learning to tap into feminine, which I think is really, really powerful. And so we're gonna talk about a lot of things, which is gonna be fun. But do you want to come off mute and introduce yourself to the group?
Hey everybody, happy to be here. Elyse, so excited that we get the opportunity to do this. I know
Yeah.
that years ago when we connected, I felt like you and I working together would always be a great fit. So glad that we're able to do this now, and I'm excited to share how some of the shifts that you teach in your work here were applied in my life for abundance, right?
I love that. I love that. And one thing I'll say too, that I think is so fun because I forgot this um, before I brought you up, but you and I have known each other for what, 10, has it been 10 years or
I
close
think
to
we're I
it?
think we're like on a 7, 8,
7, 8. Okay. I
If
don't
we're
know.
hey, if we're in sales though and it's a forecast, we're rounding up.
We're rounding up to 10. Okay. But so you and I have known each other for a long time, right? And
That's right.
I got the pleasure and honor of coaching you many years ago. You had a beautiful spiritual awakening, which was very, very powerful to witness. And you've done a lot of awesome work just at like the intersection of sales and spirituality, which are I just love. Like to me, those are my favorite things to geek out on all day long. But I remember this was probably last year. You and I hadn't been in touch for well, we've been in touch like a little bit, but not too much. But I just kept having this knowing that you were going to be on the team. And I shared this, I think Laura, I shared it with you, didn't I? Where it was like, there's two more people. One of them isn't here yet on this call yet, but he will be. But Brandon was one of them. And I was like, they're on the team with us. And I don't know how, and I don't know what it looks like, but I'm open. And then I think it was May. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
you reached out, you were traveling to Maine for something. And I was like, oh boy, here we go. It's happening. And we met up for coffee and I kind of laid, I was like, I don't know what this looks like, but I've had this may sound weird, but you'll get it because you understand I've had this vision that you're supposed to come, work with us and be involved in a leadership capacity in the company. And you were like, okay, cool, let's go.
Yeah, I don't. It doesn't take a lot for me, but like it was a no-brainer. For those that haven't been following you or been in contact with you for as long as I have, and some of the other members in the group, like it's just been awesome to see the inflection points for you, what you've gone through, where your growths have
Mm,
happened and like what each springboarded into the next were for you, and just how much you're leaning into it and how much you've always given, but where the places that where you're giving it from seems to be what resonates the most for me and
thank
all the
you.
others. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I love you. I appreciate that. I think for all of us, and part of what we're talking about here with turning your annual income into your monthly income, it really is about being available to be a channel for the way that I see it. And I think everyone, you can use your own language, have your own words, but I see my life and my work and what I always want to be is a channel for God, for spirit, for source to flow through. And to kind of basically like we get to get out of our own way with that. And when you do that and when you allow that, it's amazing just the synchronicities, the people, the connections, the opportunity. And so when you and I reconnected earlier this summer, I was like, I know this is coming. I know it's happening. I don't know exactly what it looks like. And you, to your credit, you were so open and in faith. You were like, cool, let me know it's time. And when we launched the men's mastermind in October, you started leading and teaching this group and teaching these principles. And so I had the privilege of sitting in on one of the calls and seeing just how you are working with men on their feeling state too and connecting with that. But what I think is powerful about masculine and feminine energy, and that's what we teach a method called the 4 quadrants of quantum sales growth, and that is one of them, is when we learn how to tap into both masculine and feminine. We all have both. It's not about your gender, but we learn how to tap into and leverage both. That's when we quantum leap. That's when we ascend. So maybe you can speak to even just a little bit in your own life, like making that shift from having been all in the masculine or really heavy in the masculine, and what it looked like for you to learn to tap more into feminine, how you do that now as well, and like how you do that with your clients and the people you coach in our community, because I think that that's a big shift, because so many of the members I see of our community, women included, and often primarily, have been so in our masculine of just the doing, the pushing, the forcing, and that's not quantum leap energy. So what would you say to that?
I think to your point earlier, talking about your own story, we especially as men, and obviously this is patriarchy. Let's smash it later. We're just gonna talk about where we're at right now with it. Is we it's all this doing, all this activity. You're not if you're not producing, then what are you doing, right? Like and then like putting all this energy into it. And that's when you met me was I was doing just that. I was doing, like you said, all the right things, checking the boxes and coaching little league, taking my kids to do this, to do that. And, doing all the right things, having conversations, lunches, dinners, whatever. And, working too many hours in a day and trying to achieve a certain level. I mean, when we connected, I was being rejected for sales calls by as a salesperson, and I was like, well, I'm going to hire a sales coach then because that'll help me to get through the hump, right? So I was not allowing myself to even just kind of give myself permission to believe that it was possible for me without even more training and without all this other stuff. And so doing all of that and just grinding it like it was a grind, right? Grinding it
Mm,
out. Like how tired and how burnt out, how irritable, how awesome was I to be around in that energy? Not at all,
yeah.
right? And it was a place of like almost desperation too. Like if I wasn't achieving this thing with all the effort, then and am I a failure? Am I a lost cause? Like, what did I even show up for? Right. Um, and so through all that and doing all that for, I mean, I only put a couple of years into it, right? Honestly, God, guys, and ladies and gentlemen, I got into a certain point of success pretty effortlessly, I would say. But then I was like, maybe I should actually try to do something with life. Right? Like, wouldn't it be cool if I was like, I got here without putting effort in. What would it look like if I tried? Like, what would happen if, like you're talking about, what would happen if, like, okay, I've done what everybody told me I should be doing, which is great. And here I am. This is cool. But what am I really here for? Right.
Mm,
And that's really what I leaned into. And I picked up a lot of that again with the work that we did together. But I still grinded like so much, right? And
yeah.
then at a certain point, I was like, if it's like meant for me, it'll show up. And is it really like I spent like, probably a couple years making, this six-figure salary, which was, hey, nothing to laugh at, right? Happy to have it. I'll keep getting paid like that. Cool. But like, was it really worth my life at that point? And that's really what I was
Mm,
exchanging. I was exchanging my life for XYZ dollars. And my family was being sacrificed for it. My life was literally I was paying my life for this. So I
mm,
was like, I'm out. I'm not gonna keep doing all this, putting myself out there, grinding away in this constant doing. And I shit you not, pardon my French, but like, within weeks, within a month, like I get this call asking me if I want to be on the account manager team, if I wanted to like double my salary, if I wanted to do all these things. I was like, what? Stop it. I was so it was actually like it's kind of like one of those things like we talk about like I was waiting for it, but I couldn't like time it right. It's a little
yeah.
bit like double dutch for the first couple times you do it. Like all right, you get tripped up in the double dutch jump rope, but like eventually like there I am. I'm here. I'm in it. I'm like I knew it was possible and I knew it could be effortless, but like that is this real?
Mm,
And then kind of lean into it. And again, this was all done through like we talked about, I still remember calling Elyse and being like, Elyse, I had the spiritual awakening. And you're like, ah, tell me more about this, right? Like, so this was all part of this journey that you're going through, weaving in and out, then having it happen. Listen, not for nothing. There was evidence of things along the way, right? I know you talk about that. There was evidence of things along the way. We talk about that. But then having it happen, and I'll always remember too, even just getting into this work and doing it. Um, I still remember my grandfather talking to me down by the garage, fire door, gray steel garage fire door, and him just being like, the greatest investment you can make is like in yourself. And so I went to some college, did some school, and kind of, didn't really think too much about it. But as I reflect, there are definitely two parts to this that I'll share. The first investment that I made in myself was actually prior to the coaching. Um, but it wasn't just that I'd made an investment in myself, and I think that this is a nuance that we may not hit on. It's I invested in myself with like my own idea, with something that was in alignment with who I was, right? I mean, that was like a 20x return on investment, like a 60K return on investment, right? Like, well,
Mm.
I think anybody who does any investing would take that, right? And the next was with the coaching, right? I saw another, we'll call it like a 100K return on that,
Mm.
right? But it was if I hadn't have done it, it wouldn't have happened. And I still remember the fear. I still remember, my wife's name is Meg, right? I still remember talking with Meg about wanting to invest in this coaching package and how much it was, like how much money it was, right? It was a big number for us then. And I mean, it still seems like a big number here and there. Um, all relative, right? Uh, and we were both just kind of like, let's sleep on it, right? Me, I'm like, oh, I'm like, let's go, right? But I'm married with children, and it's the right thing to do, right? Have that conversation. Um, but the thought and the feeling was like it was so strong. I was so drawn to do it. It was like if I don't do this, am I gonna have like the biggest life regret, right? Am
Mm.
I living my potential? Am I stepping into who I'm supposed to be? Am I gonna be like I've never been happy to play small, right? Am I gonna be happy to go down as like not even a footnote in
Mm.
my own life, right? Like no, I'm absolutely not. Like my heart was literally tearing at that point. Like it just like, do I make this? Do I do the investment with or without her? Eventually, Meg blessed it, and she realized too that like this was like power of a solid supporting partner, right? Uh, and it's just paid off so much, and it's like at least you keep talking about it's who I've become and allowing, right? Like how much I was not very good at receiving, right?
Mm.
Not very good at allowing, and just allowing for energy and things to show up in my life and receiving them, right? It was all
Yeah.
this mail do, getting in my own goddamn way. And all I had to do was sit back, relax, and receive, the gifts that life has to offer.
Mm.
Hopefully that helps. And how do I share it with, how do I coach like others through it? It's like, asking them kind of where they are, right? Look, I think one of the toughest things for, and I can't say like those who have ascended, right? One of the toughest things, though, once you reach to get to a certain point, like, and I still like this happened like immediately, like the awakening piece is like, I've got to go tell people how to do it. This is how you do it. This is what you do, right? Like when we're like, we want to shout from the top of the world, like, I've broken the code. I've come through. I've shattered this broken glass here. Like this is all my doing, right? I've gotten to this place, but like where are they right now, right? Like we've got to remember where we were before then, and we can't come at them from where we are. And we can certainly share where we are now, but we got to remember, like before we get to this place, I will always tell people, like I was the last person to. I was talking on a call yesterday. I'll be the last person 10 years ago to be like, well, we got to come from a place of love. right? I mean, sorry guys, I know. Last person be like, get into your feminine. Last person to be like, all right, listen, what you got to do is connect with divinity. Don't know what that means for you, but we got to do it, right? And challenging, what your past beliefs have been, and literally just being like, I think, yeah, I can't. Elyse, it might have been you. It's just like letting go of your past stories, right? Letting go of things that
Mm.
no longer serve you, right? Like, I mean, we got to find out what you feel like is serving you, what has served you up to this point, and ditch it.
Yeah.
Right. All right.
Mm. Oh
Let
my
go.
gosh. I
Let it
love
go.
it. Yeah. I love it so much. What are what are some of the ways that you do connect more with the feminine in
Mm.
your business and in your sales? Like what would you say to someone who's maybe way in masculine grind energy right now?
Um.
Start to shift out of that.
Yeah. I'd say like you kind of let go a little bit, right? We are a lot of us, we feel like if we're not in control and commanding it to happen and have our fingerprints all over it the entire way,
Mm.
that we didn't do it, right? It's not ours, and then like I didn't make it happen. But what happens if it just happens for you,
Yeah.
right? Like how like I mean, it's really, I mean, and it can be a challenge because we don't want to go to our supervisor and they're like, well, how did that happen for you? Like, well, I don't, it just happened, right? You still have to, there is still work involved, right? Like we're going to talk in your group, and there's methodologies, there's scale, there's tactics, and there's all the stuff that you do, but it's how we do it from this place of being of service, right? Instead of, I think for me again, feminine energy is more about nurturing and being of service and being there. Whereas, and just my own personal male experience has been like, give me, I gotta get it, right?
Mhm.
That's mine, right? Like, how about like what could possibly happen if we did this together as a group? Is like, and we all appreciate and come from a place of love and nurturing in and of itself, and allowing again that
Mm.
space, right?
Yeah.
Gestation period, I know, is a big one that we talk about, that is again more from the feminine energy, right? Of like, let's plant the seeds, let's nurture it, let's allow for it to gestate, and we can give birth to this new idea together, and from a collaborative space, right? To me, that's more of a feminine space.
I love that. Well, and I think you spoke to it beautifully. So you talked about surrender, right? And when you surrendered a bit, that was when the opportunity came in to double your income. And surrender is actually feminine energy. So Joe Dispenza talks about this. He talks about creation is this blend, this dance between intention and surrender. And so it's a both and. And so just looking at this is something I was even thinking about today, is like, how can I bring more intention into everything I'm doing? Like, even when I'm picking up the kids from school at the end of the day, and sometimes it can just be autopilot mode where you're not thinking about it too much. But I was like, what would it be like to plan a really, this is going to sound like a silly little example, but it's what I was thinking about, to plan like a really fun snack for them, like to be very intentional about that now, of like, what would it be like to make like the best snack for them when they come home, and to be intentional about what we're going to do together before dinner, and to plan out an art project. I mean, they're 4 and almost 2. So we're doing things at a simple level right now. But instead of just being on autopilot with it, like what would it be like to bring more intention? You do this in your business as well. And yet, and simultaneously, there's this element of surrender, which is the feminine, right? Which is such a beautiful blend. And when we do that, I know when we are in control, when we're feeling like we have to control the whole thing, that is a small part of us. That is a smaller part of us that is scared, that is nervous, that doesn't trust. And the more you can surrender into your greatness, the more you can surrender into allowing more and receiving more, and let it be a co-creation where you remember that you're guiding and directing source energy by what your intention is, and by what your thoughts are, what your energy is, what your feeling is, and then simultaneously being open for the miraculous to show up, being open for the synchronicities to show up, being open for the money to come in an unexpected way. A lot of times I'll hear clients say, like, I can't pay for this because I can't see how that's going to come in through my business yet, or I can't see how that's in the pipeline. I can't see how that's there. I haven't observed it in my bank account, right? They don't say that. They say I don't have the money, but I'm like, you haven't observed it yet in the bank account. Doesn't mean it's not there. Um, when we think that we have to control the whole process and we're not open to the synchronicities that come when you co-create and when you remember that whatever that vision is that you have, it's already done. It's already done. Now it's about receiving it. Now it's about stepping into gratitude for it. What energy would you be in with your vision for 2025 if you knew that it was a done deal? How excited would you be? What would you be planning for? Right? What furniture would you be buying for the new home? What investments would you be making in your business? So that's the energy that creates, right? So I just wanted to kind of riff off of that a little bit because to me, learning to tap into both masculine and feminine, it is about that blend of intention and surrender. And I think what I love about the work that you're doing and leading in the community and, your contribution to the leadership team, and then also you leading the men's mastermind is helping others tap into that and connect with that. And it's a really beautiful blend. So yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. For sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Any final words of wisdom or advice for anyone who, wants to make 2025 their best year yet? They're maybe sitting here saying, okay, I would love to ascend. What do I do? What does that look like? Any final words of wisdom or advice?
I saw Jack Canfield years ago, and he just wrote, "Just do it," right? Like, just do it. Like, you have to make the decision that you are worth it, right? And this is another snippet that came up over the past couple years too. Like, um, you've got to invest in yourself to show that first before other people are going to be willing to invest in you too, right? So if you're waiting for somebody else to be like, oh, I should take a chance on this person or that person, they want to see that you're willing to take that chance on yourself first. Because if you're not willing to take a chance on yourself and you know yourself best, why would somebody else do that?
Yeah. So true. It's so, so true. Um, I think that's some of the best advice that you can give. And that's an example of, again, a lot of times we wait and say, well, when the clients are there, when my business is there, and that's what I was doing for so much of my life saying, when this is happening, when that's happening. But none of that shifts until you do something different, right? And your level of income will never exceed your level of self-worth. So investing in yourself, investing in your own growth, your own development. I know that when I made the declaration that I am worthy of investing in a way that for me at the time was really uncomfortable, that's when things shifted. I changed my self-concept. I changed my self-image. And we were even on a call yesterday with a newer member of the 10K club um, who was sharing, it was like after she invested in herself, that's when she had her best month ever in business. And that's how it goes. It changes your belief system. So I always tell people that people will say, like, is the program worth it? Is the community worth it? Like, I know it's worth it. Like, I know it's way more than worth it. The question for you to ask is, do I believe I am worthy of the transformation? Right? That's it. That's the question to ask yourself because it works if you work it. Like it does. It's proven again and again. Am I going to choose to be worthy of the transformation I desire? And just like you talked about, Brandon, I'll kind of wrap on this one thing. You were trading your life for like low six-figure salary, for kind of checking the boxes. Bob Proctor has that beautiful quote: everything you do, every goal you set, you're trading your life for it. And so when we recognize that everything we're doing, we're trading our life for it, make it amazing, make it exceptional, make it worthy of you, make your life worthy of you, right? It's such a shift. So thank you for sharing all of this. This is so powerful. We so appreciate you. Um, And I feel like we always get a good dose of like comedy hour too when you're talking, which is it's like spiritual and incredible business advice and comedy, which I love. So thank you. And I'm so excited to see what we continue to do and create together as we go into 2025, because I know it's going to be really, really big. So thank you, my friend. All right. Laura, I want to call you up. I am so excited for this conversation. A lot of you who are already in the community, you know Laura. She is our director of operations. She's our program manager. She's like my healing queen. She's so, she has such beautiful energy. And many of you have had the opportunity to work with her. She, like I said, she leads our corporate sales mastermind. She leads some of our implementation calls as well. And Laura has a really beautiful story. So I'll let you share a little bit of your own story of transformation within this work. And then I've got some questions I want to talk with you about like specifically ascending in corporate, applying this in corporate, and also how healing will help someone ascend and quantum leap. So um, let's do it. Let's have you come off mute.
Yeah,
Say
super
hi. I'm
excited to
excited.
share the story. Yeah, I'll just share kind of briefly. This work really transformed me in a way that I wasn't expecting. I
Mm,
remember, it was during COVID. I'm sitting at my desk in the basement, because we were all like at home for my corporate job. And I'm like, my goals are way surpassed. I'm like, kind of like Brandon shared a little bit. It was like there was not a lot of intention with what I was doing on the corporate side. It just was like I was just blowing it away, with my goals.
mm,
And um, but the energy in which it was done was changed because of the work that I've done in the program. But at the time, I was like, man, how do I really just sell online? I'd done this. Um, Mary Kay, I was like, all right, I love it. Like, I was bored. I was like looking for something to do and came across Elise's podcast. And then I started following her on Instagram Live. And she started just talking about things in a powerful way
mm,
around her vision, around like her income goals. And I was like, man, I'm really playing small in my life. And I remember like she was doing this talk around releasing resistance to what you want. And a little bit of background with myself is, I grew up in a home that was very volatile. At a young age, I had some trauma where I was sexually abused. At the age of 16, I took my power back with the situation, and I'd shared with my mom kind of what was going on. She was young too. She had me at a very young age. The man that she had married, which I thought was my father growing up, was like 10 years older than her. But there was a lot of just violence in the home. But I remember at the time I was like, we need to shift this. We need to get the hell out of here. So I was like, I need to open up with her. And from that, my life changed. I remember like going off on my own. Just due to the circumstance, and there's a lot more behind this, but just for the purpose of this group. But I was like, man, I do not want to be in this environment, even at a young age, without even intentionally knowing it. I was just like, I'm like, you need to sign me over as a ward of the state, and I'm doing whatever I want. So I was on my own at 16. So just a little bit of background with there, but what I learned through, like again, kind of reconnecting the story back to when I found Elyse. Man, it was 4 years ago when you started the program. And I'm like, I've been really like proud of the things I created. And I was like, but like your message to me had a calling inside of me. I was like, man, how do I like have this stuff in my life? I know I'm meant for more. And it just like the power in which you shared it just showed up so strong inside of me. And but I remember sitting there and I was like, you talked about how really to attract the things and what you want in your life, it's about how the law of attraction is really around how you're feeling. And I used to think, it was around like just thinking the thoughts I needed to have, but it's way bigger than that. And it's like, it's the thoughts, it's the feelings and who I was being. And I share this today because I've really done a lot of work around this, right? But I was like, man, I don't feel good right now. Like I have like this stuff that's happening around me, around my feelings. And I remember asking Elyse a question, and this was on a live. I didn't even like invest in the program. She had no idea who I was and what my background was. And I had asked her, how do I feel better when I feel hurt by everybody around me? And her message to me is that I need to just stop looking outside of myself and that I had the power to change. And that my outer world, that the things that were happening around me that I wasn't happy with, was a direct reflection of the things that were inside of me, meaning my feelings, my thoughts. And I didn't know that at the time. I remember when she said it, it was like, what the hell does that mean? I'm like, it's their fault, And so through this work, what I learned is that I was in survival mode because of the environment that I grew up in. And today I was like, man, the survival mode is, I appreciate this because it really just, I needed it at the time because of where I was at. Um, However, I didn't know how to shift the identity of it. And so this work and shifting this was very powerful for me. So what I thought coming into the program was, I'm going to learn how to market online and sell, which was like, oh, wow, this is around really healing and healing these emotions that were survival emotions that really kept me. I think about it, it kept me drained, it kept me stuck. I was operating from a place of unworthiness, playing small. And so um, it was investing in myself in this program. I remember right after that call, I was like, it took me a little bit of time because I was like, really just, I felt like I got sideswiped with the information because it didn't feel good at the time because it made me look within myself and take responsibility for my own life. And I'm telling you that is where the work really began for me. And I invested in the program. And Brandon, I know you said you talked to your wife about it. And I was like, I told my husband
Yeah.
I was doing it. And no right or wrong, right? I just laugh at myself because I just very, very like strongly felt like, no, I'm doing this. I would love your support with this if, and again, my husband is amazing. We have a good relationship. So, and I tease him because I'm like, you signed up to be married to me. So
Along for the
anyways,
ride, baby.
invested in the program and I was like, we're going for this. And he was like, babe, I trust you. Like, it just because of the relationship. But man, the transformation that came about with this really going within and healing these. And it is really around this whole concept about old identity and old personality versus new personality, which we teach in the program.
Mm. Oh my gosh. You're so beautiful. I love every time you share about your transformation. And I was thinking about this the other day, like even um you physically and like visibly, your energy has changed so much. I want to go back to one of the first calls that you were on from like many, many years ago, because I remember just like seeing you now versus the energy on those first calls. You look very different. And it's like you were beautiful then, you're beautiful now, but the energy is so much lighter. And I think so we'll do it just for us first, but then
I
maybe we'll
know.
share
Well, I've actually
online
put it
because
out
it's,
there.
yeah, I mean, it really like people will be like,
Yeah.
wow, is that the same woman? Right. But you have done and you've embodied the work.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that, and I'd love for you to speak to this a little bit. Sometimes people will say, well, can I quantum leap in corporate, right? Because we've got a beautiful blend of clients in our community where we've got a lot of entrepreneurs or people starting running businesses, but we also have a lot of corporate sales powerhouses. So say to that to someone who is who's like, I know I want to grow, I know I want to really multiply my income, but can I do it if I'm in corporate?
Yeah, it's, this was like the beautiful piece for me too. Oh, it's just so fun, So once I understood that, that I needed to do that, well, one, and I want to share this because, and I share this in a place, and why I'm so like passionate about this work is I want to my work and the things I've done on myself. It took time for me to set a time in the morning for myself and my routine, and pour into myself. And what was I listening to, what was I reading, how was I shifting these emotions inside? It was like I needed to uncover the fear, the scarcity, those victim thoughts. I felt like the world was against me. And even like in the corporate environment, like it was like this. I was overworking. I was people pleasing because I was like, this is how I thought I needed to really bring in the sales and build relationships. And I was in constant fear of judgment. And I was constantly trying to prove myself.
Mm.
And how I did this, the energy in which I did this was, it was like, you got a project you want me to sign up for? I'm there. Yes, let me do it. It was like, reply to emails instantly. I'd work late. I'd say yes to clients that weren't really qualified to please partners that were around me. And it was like, now when I was in the middle of doing this, I didn't see that I was doing this. I just thought I was doing the best that I knew what to do with. Like, and that's why I shared around this identity and who I was. It was this victim personality, this survival personality. And so what then, when I started doing this inner work, I was like, wait a minute, what am I doing? I'm giving my power away. And so what that meant for me, it was like I was responding to people. Like if I'd walk in and it was like, what that means today for me is I wasn't trusting myself. I didn't acknowledge the power and the way that I worked. And I didn't acknowledge like the way that I was bringing in sales, and really just trusting myself. So like this feminine energy, even that was talked about, I was highly in this masculine energy too, because the masculine kept me, at the time it felt like it kept me safe, and I didn't realize that until I looked back on this. But I remember like, what am I doing? It was like I remember like, even in corporate, feeling like, why am I not getting the jobs that I want?
Mm.
And I was like, I'm good with people. I have a management background. I've been in sales. I've been crushing it on my numbers. And I'm like, everywhere I try to find like another job to make more money. And I'm like, this isn't happening. What? So that's why I was in my basement bored, just sitting there. But then when I started taking my power back and seeing inside of me, like shifting this identity, these beliefs, and who I was because of the things that I learned in the program and the time that I put into myself, I started taking my power back. And I remember within 6 months of the program, I literally had 3 jobs that I wanted show up at the same time. It was a manager position. It was a woman that was like, you know what? I have a book, a business. I want to retire. You can take it over. And I was like, remember at the time, like, oh my God, what do I do? Like it. And then all of a sudden I get another, offer that was out of the blue. It was something that I wasn't intentional, but followed my intuition, kind of looking back at, reached out to somebody about a year ago and just stayed in touch. And then he mentioned my name. to somebody that was hiring in this high net worth role. And I remember like sitting back and like, oh my God, wow, I shifted this and I doubled my corporate income. And I share a little bit about some of the stuff within the program, but man, I like negotiated my salary like a freaking boss because I
Mm.
was like, I saw my worth. I knew what I brought. And I was like, I remember it was just so powerful. And it was, you know, I doubled that. And then again, it was a 6-figure income that I doubled. And that is not something you hear about within corporate.
Yeah. I think that's what's so beautiful about this work. And it's kind of like we were talking about earlier, where um, most everyone in this community is like absolutely wanting to grow money, right? And so we love that. We love helping all of you receive the amount of money that you want to receive to live your fullest life and get out of scarcity energy, tap into abundance, learn how to embody that, learn what that looks like. And so, you know, your story of doubling your income in corporate, like that's life changing, right? Doubling your income is life changing. And sometimes when you're telling the story, it's like you almost forget about it because how good you feel and the difference in who you are now and the state of flow that you're connected with and how you're tapped in and your spiritual gifts and just the confidence that you embody, right? And that I've seen you really step into through this work like that. You, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm guessing
Yeah.
you'd say that's the actual gift, and
Yeah.
the money and the business growth is also wonderful. But
I know.
it's who you become. It's who
Yeah.
you
And it's
become in the
just like it's a
process. Yeah.
byproduct of who I've become. You know, it's just like
Yeah.
I think about like this stuff, of course, it's going to come in. Of course, you know, of course, we're going to have the things come in. And I look at like, man, I if I look and I've had beautiful things, not only this, but I remember like 175,000 flow in. Like,
Mm,
you know, I was like, holy crap, like this is amazing, you know, but it's just it's when you so I'm like, when I invested in the program, hell yes, I would do it like 1,000 times because of how this has come back, you
mm,
know, and I remember when I first kind of started this program too. I don't know why this feels so strong for me to share this with those maybe that aren't in the program. It's like, you know, at the time I remember doing the work and it's like even people in the program today, just keep showing up for yourself. Show up for yourself. Really anchor into this vision of how, you know, and it's different for all of us, but where I just think like for me, I'm like, ignite your freaking power, people, like everybody,
mm,
like inside of you. And when you do this and when you actually listen, take action on what shows up because you are worth it. You are never going to have anybody, you know, not never, but I'm like, stop looking for people to acknowledge what you want to do. Stop looking for people to approve what you're going to do. Because guess what? Everybody has their own belief and what they want. They don't know what's inside of you.
mm.
And so this is where the power came for me. And I was like, I am putting aside everybody else's opinions. I know what I want and I'm going to go after it. And so, and then you get to shift this inside of you, this identity and creating this. And I was like, man, I get to have fun with this. Like, who do I want to be? You know, who am I? And how do I show up like her today? And like the amount of like blessings and abundance, not only financially, but relationships and all kinds of things that come in when you do this, when you start trusting yourself, when you go within and just listen, what is it you need?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Amen. 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 And Erica, I saw your comment in the chat. It was actually 175,000. I remember that text from you, Laura. It was like in 1 week, right? That came in. I remember I
Yeah.
screenshotted that. So I was so happy for you. but it felt natural. I'm sure it felt natural and normal when it happened. It wasn't surprising because you'd done the work to align with it. It's
Yeah, I
great,
knew it was
right?
coming in, but when I
Yeah,
actually saw it, I was like, yeah.
it's
I mean,
really fun.
it was like deepening into it. Then I was
It's
just
really
like,
fun.
heck yeah, and then it's like, now how do we get to expand this?
Yeah,
And that's where
exactly.
the fun and like
Yes.
where you don't have to grip and force it. It's just like, just put the vision and just, it's like being intentional about this inner work and
Yeah.
really just saying yes to yourself.
Mm, so good. So, so good. Thank you. I love you. I'll echo what I said to Brandon, which is I am beyond excited just to continue this journey and for what is coming for all of us in 2025 because it's really big and I just love and appreciate you and thank you for sharing your story and for just embodying this work the way that you do. So, so
Thank
much love
you.
to you. Yeah. This has flown. I feel like this, this went so fast. I want to be sure to speak about the homework for tonight because it's going to be very transformational for all of you. Before I do, Erica, your question a little bit earlier, and there were a lot of comments that I missed when I was speaking earlier, but you asked about what are the steps you can take to shift your self-concept or your self-image, something like that. Really good question. So we in 10K Club, which we'll speak, we've got two different things that we're opening up this week, and 10K is one of them. But one of the first sets of trainings is exactly on that. So it's more than I can go into in the time that we have today. But what I want to acknowledge is the wisdom in the question, because it is so true that you don't get what you want, you get what you are. So at a high level, what you want to do is look at what is it that I would love to be experiencing in life if there were no consequences, if there were no limitations? How is my life? How is my business? How is my health? How's my money? What is all of that? And get a very vivid, detailed description of that. And then we want to go beyond that to say, well, who is the person who does that and who has that? And so that's going to come down to an identity shift, a self-concept shift. And again, to me, it's not about becoming someone that was never true to you. It's about becoming more of who you actually are and releasing the limiting beliefs, releasing the old thought patterns that no longer serve. So we have an exercise, you heard it mentioned a little bit in here, we do in our programs called Old Personality, New Personality, where we look at what are the thoughts, what are the feelings, and what are the actions of someone who is at that level, who has that life, who has that business. How does she think? What are her thoughts about life, about business, about relationships, about money? How does she feel? And then what actions does she take? And then the work and the transformation is daily, intentionally showing up as that person, right? And you'll become aware of the old limiting patterns. You'll become, like Laura said, like this is conscious everyday work. I do this work every single day myself, but we do it from a place of self-love and we do it from a place of it really is about loving yourself so much that you are willing to do this for you. You are willing to see how good life can get. You are willing to see how much more expansive your experience can be. You are willing to allow more in. And so there's a lot of different methods that you can use to retrain your subconscious to kind of step into and embody that new identity. Again, we teach a lot of them in the programs, and that's also in 10K Club or our mastermind, we're doing hands-on work with you in that as well, to help kind of mirror that and help you see how you're showing up and how you can step into that new identity. But those would be the first couple of steps that I would take there too. And it's really fun work, and you actually make that the focus of what you're doing, and then the money comes, the opportunities come, the situations come. So it's really, really powerful. But I love that you're asking that because that's exactly the type of question you want to be asking, right? So really good. So for tonight, what I want to invite all of you to do, and I'm really excited for this because I think this is going to help you connect so much with what it is that you're calling in 2025. There's not one set way you can do this. You can journal about it. You can make a vision board. You can do a video of you talking through it. But I want to invite you to connect with your 2025 vision. So 12 months out, We are celebrating your best year yet, right? And what has happened? What are we celebrating? In again, all areas of life, your finances, your business, your relationships. And so as you map that out and you again journal about it, you talk about it into your phone, you make a vision board around it, whatever resonates most and gets you most excited and in the energy of it, we want to start looking at what is life like for you at that place. And if part of your vision is turning your annual income into your monthly income, right? Talk about that. What is life like now that you're having consistent 100K months, 200K months, 500K months? How are you allocating and flowing that money? That's actually part of how you can align with the new frequency, is to play with when this is coming in every single month. What am I doing with it? So what is life like, right? And what has transformed for you, for your family? So we're really going to get into the energy and into the spirit of it and have fun with it. I want to invite you to send it to your success advisor. So whoever your success advisor is, if it's a text, you can send them a text, right? You can send them, if you're already communicating via email, whatever channel you're communicating in, send it to them so that they can be in the energy with you. I would also love for you to share on social, whatever it is that showed up for you with that, tag me so that I can be in the energy with you as well. We remember you couldn't see it if you wouldn't see it if you couldn't do it. So it is available. It is there for you. And the first step to creating it is speaking it out loud, expressing it, writing it down, and getting in the energy of it already happening. So we are at time. I'm going to, honor everyone's time. Tomorrow, same time, same place. We've got an incredibly full, powerful day 2, and we want to see what shows up for you tonight as you tap into your 2025 vision. So much love for each of you. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. We are so, so grateful for you, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.